Hello and welcome to Waco Is Live. I'm your host, Gillis. Thank you for tuning in today. Make sure you catch us on all our social media platforms, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and you can also go to the website, wacoislive.com. Today, I have a very special guest, an awesome person, I would say a mover and shaker in Waco, and also a rising star in the state of Texas. She is the councilwoman from District Number 1, Mrs. Andrea Barefield. Ms. Barefield, how you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you, Pastor Gillis, for having me.
Thank you for being on the show today. It is Christmas time,
yes.
And I don't know how it is at your house, but this is the time of year where we spend probably more money than we should spend. I wanted to get in and kind of talk. I love family. I'm a family person. I wanted to talk to you about family, ask you, what does Christmas mean to your family?
So this is an awesome opportunity just for us to gather together. Christmas is different, I admit, since my mom passed, because that was her holiday. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, from long as I can remember, Christmas was her thing. The next day, we did Christmas dinner at my grandmother's house in Tig. So we would travel and go on the 26th.
So you had to move
We did.
Okay,
We did.
all right.
And so, but, even when we got married, I got married, my sister got married, she was like, your in-laws can have Thanksgiving, Christmas is mine.
Okay.
So we have, since she passed away, my sister and I made it our point to gather our families and still keep that tradition. So we alternate years of who hosts. Mm-hmm. And
who's hosting this year?
I am.
Okay, all right. So there's some cooking going on.
It is not.
Okay, we're gonna have to explain that. You're gonna unpack that a little bit.
We are traveling this year.
Okay.
We are going to. They're gonna fly to Florida. We're gonna drive to Florida because we like to meander and piddle. But we're going on a cruise.
Wow.
So that's why there'll be no PlayStations, there'll be no Jordans, there'll be no.
Okay.
You're getting a cruise for Christmas. Merry Christmas.
So the family's jumping on a boat.
Yep.
You're taking everybody.
Everybody. Mother-in-law, kids.
Mother-in-law.
Yep. Only person that does not get to go is the dog.
Dog gotta stay. Okay. So you're going on a cruise. Where y'all going?
Going to Bahamas.
This is a nice cruise, everybody. And it's cold here in Central Texas right now.
So we're looking forward to those 80-degree days and just kind of getting away from it all and experiencing. Because that's the thing. I mean, I can give you stuff all day long, which we do. Mm-hmm. Our children are blessed enough to have everything they need and most of what they want. Mm-hmm. So why don't we have an experience?
That's one of them old sayings.
Yes,
I done bless you with everything you need and most of what you want.
I am an old soul. But we're gonna drive and piddle, stop in New Orleans and experience that, and go and piddle and find things. I mean, my sons the last time we drove to Florida, they said, Mom, I want to go see, MLK stuff. That is not on the way, but we said, okay. Up to Atlanta we went, back down to Florida.
Wow.
So we go and see where the experience takes us. We rarely have that kind of time.
So this is like vacation Christmas, adventure
everything.
Christmas.
All of it.
That probably would be interesting to be in the car listening to y'all go down the road.
Listen.
Get in the car, pack up. You said the mother-in-law, everybody's going on this cruise.
Yep.
That's awesome. Family sometimes loses sight. We lose sight of what's important at Christmas. Yeah. And we spend up all our money that we shouldn't spend. Yeah. But it's good to hear that the Barefield family y'all got a plan.
We do have a plan.
That's a plan. That's good.
We do have a plan. The stockings will go, because I think, that was always my favorite thing, to unpack a stocking on Christmas morning. So the stockings will still go. But for the most part, y'all getting Mike and Ike's and socks. It's all good.
That's awesome. I want to thank Bobby Touchstone and the Eatery, soul food restaurant that we are in. They're doing business. We're here at lunchtime, which brings me to a topic that I think is near and dear to a lot of your constituents. Mm-hmm. And that word, it's not a bad word, but sometimes it could be considered a bad word, gentrification. Mm-hmm. And how that has affected, I think Waco is not unique. No. All cities all over the country are experiencing what they call gentrification. Sure. What would you say to constituents that may have fears when it comes to that word?
So you are absolutely correct. Gentrification is happening, because, I mean, if you break it down, to gentrify means to change. Mm-hmm. Now, negative gentrification happens every day. Anybody familiar with Texas, anybody familiar with Austin knows what negative gentrification looks like, because I had my aunt and uncle lived on MLK and Chacon, and it is nothing like I grew up going to visit. You know, my grandfather went to Houston before it was Houston-Tillerson, when it was just Houston. So, you know, in and
HT.
Yeah.
HBCU.
Come on. So that area just was existing, you know, strong black community. And then when the other side of 35 ran out of space, and at that point it was fiscally sound and solvent to come and, because, you know, again, now I'll say this, people can't, I mean, outside of eminent domain, no one can take your land if you don't sell it to them.
That's right, that's right.
So,
that's important to know.
So we need to be mindful that you know, the boogeyman, the they and them, can't function without a contractual agreement. So at this point, you have to determine what's your price. Is losing what you built as your community worth the price they offer?
Yeah.
Now, the problem that we have is that District 1, I'm gonna say as a whole, because we're dealing in East Waco, North Waco, South Waco, and TSGC, has been marginalized for a long time.
That's right.
Ignored, I don't think it's unfair to say. And now it's attractive. You know,
new. It's new all of a sudden.
Now, we've been Riverside since what? Okay. So it's always been. However, now it's sexy. And again, you've got, are you running out of space, or you want to capitalize on the movement and momentum of what the build is looking at? And so people are then coming into the east side of the river and trying to develop and grow. Now, is that a bad thing? Absolutely not. Because who doesn't want to be able to, in their neighborhood, enjoy places like the Eatery, get their clothes dry cleaned,
services.
Go to grocery, because you want to be able to completely live where you live. I don't want to have to go across town to do this and that. I mean, it's convenient for me to walk to the store, grab a sandwich, go get a coffee, you know, go do the things that I need to go pick up my prescription. That's what I want to do in my community. And that's what we used to do in the community.
I guess. Go ahead.
No. But so what we are trying to mitigate is the impact of the community with this change, because the change is coming. The change is here. So how do you benefit from it?
You just all over my questions.
Come on
too.
Now. We want to make sure that the people who have been here, you know, who have held it down for all these years, while, you know, everybody else was doing everything else everywhere, you know, not giving services that needed to be services, not hearing the voices or the concerns of the people who have been here, you know, that they get everything they need, and then they get what they want. That's where we are.
I guess one of the questions that always seems to come up when we talk about, it's hard to mention Waco anymore without mentioning Magnolia.
Sure.
And the changes that have come from them, great growth in the community, which have some great positive impacts. Tax base, how the taxes may affect older people. You know, you got your house paid off, you retired, you're on a fixed income, and now you have that sudden increase in tax, and how that may affect older people.
Sure. So now, you know, right now, you know, the seniors, there is a clause to where, you know, if you don't pay your taxes at a certain age, you won't be removed from your home. Now, your heirs and your estate is gonna have to make up that tax that's not paid. So that's the case. We are looking right now at what it looks like to potentially freeze the tax base of seniors. You know, so as our city grows, you know, you're not pushed out or put in a fiscally compromising space just because you're not working. Now, the other part of that is that so that's the seniors. But what we also need to do is increase revenue, increase earnings, increase salaries, because, you know, we can't rise on this side without rising on this side, because then everybody suffers. So, you know, right now we're looking at a strategic, equitable economic development plan specifically for the urban core, because I need to know who, one, clearly we're not getting we just got a new headquarters here in the city. However, they're not in this neighborhood. So I've got to make sure that we're looking at who can come in and build industry that is growing and has a growth potential for people to evolve in their careers and make real money within our community. Or at least on the corridor, or the edge of the community. I
think it's very important because a lot of people sometimes feel like when they see this change happening, like I'm being left behind. There's what do you see on the horizon even for people, the stakeholders here in East Waco, in your district? How do they benefit from what's happening?
Okay, so what if you are really looking at future development, you have to look at your babies. You have to look at your children. So, right now I am working on developing a STEAM center within our community. It's science, technology, engineering, arts, and math.
Gotta put that. She's an arts person.
I got to.
She's an arts person.
Got to. So, with the intention of bringing in the type of technologies that will help you, will go ahead and be that foundation for future development and growth, and that would place anybody on that pathway. So what we're looking at is partners with our education partners. So that's the school districts, that's MCC, that's TSCC, that's Baylor, but also with SpaceX and Allegan, and so because I need tech training, building, and what do those certificates look like, and those certifications and those industry-specific things that you can get that and go work. Because I need you to be able to go and, they get so mad at me when we're in session because economic development will say they're going to pay $11 an hour, and I said, and you really want me to care?
Yeah,
because that's not real money.
How do you live?
That is paycheck to that Friday. That is that's not even paycheck to paycheck. That is paycheck to that Friday. And we can't do that and grow. So if you're not talking to me about 15 plus, if you're not talking to me about 25 plus, I'm really not interested. But we've got to do better about bringing that here. So if we can do from an education level, increase our base with things like the STEAM Center, so you can bring in Black Girls Code, and you can bring in robotics, and you can bring in computer information systems and securities and that kind of thing. You can bring in those things that make money.
And that's where industry is going.
Exactly.
Everybody's job is being disrupted, and we're not preparing young people for this next.
That's right.
We'll be left out again.
And we can't afford that. And I think it's time for us, specifically in our community, to say, I will not be left behind. Period.
That's awesome. So with all this new stuff, we know that you can't give us that much, but tell us about Waco Is Growing. Tell us about what's coming. What's new? What's happening here in Waco? I hear things about. Tell you what I hear. What I heard.
What the streets say.
Top Golf coming, and we got a lot of restaurants that have opened. So what's coming, and what do we have for entertainment? Where do urban millennials and others? Where do you go in Waco? What's coming? What's on the way?
I think that we have an opportunity with surely some of the hotels that are being built, that there will be areas of entertainment in close proximity that will allow everything from everyone to the teetotalers to the not to enjoy themselves. We are real excited about Bridge Street and the development of Bridge Street right along Elm, because that's going to put an amphitheater there, which is going to be more live music and more performances.
So an amphitheater is going to be on Bridge Street?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, that allows all kind of entertainment. We've always been musically inclined, as you well know.
It's an arts place.
It's an arts place and always has been, and I think that we're creating more spaces for artists, which I think, and if you haven't seen the public art installations that's going on in the river with the animals in the zoo, it is phenomenal.
I've heard a lot about the zoo, and I've seen good reviews on what's going on down there. So you guys are hitting the nail on the head with that.
Because it's what we're trying to do is build the connectivity. This week at council, we talked about bringing facility that's like Jellystone. So for the outdoor leisure traveler to come in at the river and do more things that are river based.
That's exciting.
It is. More
Waco.
things in Waco, more things that are, they just opened 2 axe throwing places. So whatever.
I don't really know what that's about. I don't know what that's about. But
whatever you're into, man.
Yeah, whatever makes your.
But there are things. And so when people say to me, oh, there's nothing to do in Waco, Earth, Wind, and Fire is performing in Waco in May. Get out of here.
Wait a minute. The Elements
Come on.
are coming to Waco?
Come on.
Where?
It's Providence's gala.
Really?
But they will be, and I was like, don't tell me there's nothing to do in Waco if the Elements are performing
That
in
might
Waco.
be a first. That might be a first. They've been around a long time, but I don't know if they've ever come to Waco.
That's what I'm saying. So, don't sleep on Waco. And we need to stop, because we're conditioned. And that's not just we, us, that's we, any local. Oh, there's nothing to do. If you go anywhere and you ask, you're at a city, well, what is there to do here? A local will tell you, nothing.
Yeah, we got to go to Dallas.
Yeah.
We got to go to Austin.
That's not true. And but you got to get engaged. You got to get involved. You got to be willing to try new things. You got to be willing to see your city as a visitor sees it. And then that way, I think you'll appreciate it more. Tourism is kind of what I do for a living. So it's important for us to realize how many things that we have here. And don't get it twisted. It's not for you.
Where are we at in tourism? Because I know when we sat down and talked earlier this year, you gave me some numbers about how tourism has increased. Where are we still?
Yes.
We still knocking it out the park.
And no, Magnolia, Fixer Up is not on the air anymore. However, Magnolia is taking over the DIY channel, and so they will have an entire network.
Yeah.
So I don't think that footprint is going away.
But
you add other things. You add the mammoth sites. You add the zoo. You add the fact that we are geographically expected to do well. You can't sit in the middle of I-35 and not do well. Now there are people who have the foresight to go and grab the folks who are in Dallas and go to grab the folks who are in Austin. And since you got to pass this way anyway,
might as well. Stop right here in Waco.
It's not just the bathroom stop anymore.
There's only one councilwoman from District 1. So we see a lot of things that are happening. I wanted to talk to you about, we're coming to the end of 2019.
Yeah.
Tell us about what you have been able to, and I've seen your name attached to a lot of things, some inequities and a lot of task force and things you've been able to get on. Tell us about what you've been able to do this year. 2019 is over with and you've done a lot of things. So tell us about what you've been able to do in your influence to City Council.
All right. So what is amazing is that I'm coming to the end of my first term because I run for re-election the re-election's in May. And so January 15th, I'll be filing again to run again. And I got to looking back at what we've accomplished. We have made, first off, public safety is the one. It's a lot of things that are happening within this district that I'm not happy about, that I have, been diligent about getting with the chief of police about the levels of crime that's happening. We've got a drug problem and right in the heart of our community. Yep. And the thing about it is it moves, because it was here, 80s and 90s, moved to North Waco for a while. They ran them out. They came back, step over in Belmead, and then they, so it moves.
So it's going around.
But, we've got to be dedicated in cleaning up our communities because it is insane to know that I can drive down a street in broad daylight. Yeah. And so that's got to stop. And I've asked our police chief to make it his primary responsibility to clean that up. From a safety perspective, we've had several housing units that have been subpar for code standards, and we got a civil warrant, and we're able to have code enforcement go in. We went in Trentwood, have 140 48 units. I think 141 of them had multiple code violations.
Really?
So we are in litigation with the owners because our people don't deserve to live that way.
Yeah, because these are human beings that are living in these places. Yeah.
And you've got to do better, or we're gonna sue you and make it, because no one. And we're not gonna let our people be treated that way. We're looking at. I put a moratorium on city-owned properties in District 1 because I needed to know what we had and where they were. So, because again, with District 1 being sexy again, a lot of people just coming in, just buying property, with no
nothing.
And with no intention of really developing or building community in that. So I said, no, we're not going to do that right now. Let's look at it. And I think what we've gotten now, since we've made some shifts in housing, I'm so proud of our housing department and the leadership there, and about what we do with our own property, because we can create housing alternatives or present opportunities to build community. We can do that.
I love that you say build community. I mean, and that's so important. With all this economic stuff going on, we still stay here, and we got to build community for the people in those communities to thrive and to. We want better. We don't.
Right, but again, I said it from the beginning of 2018 to today. We are doing it with, not to. So, the people who live in these communities have to stand up with us.
Yeah. Can't do it by yourself.
I can't, and I can't. And there's not, and then, because if I do it by myself, first time something goes, well, they didn't. No, this is a we thing.
And it's too late. Once things happen, now you show up. It's, and decisions have already been made. You got to show up before, get with the program, because there's already something in place, and you probably need their ideas. People got ideas, and everything on board. So you're going to transition out of 2019. And when did you say the election is? When
May the 6th, I believe. That's that first Saturday in May.
May the 6th. So and I'm sure your team is getting ready.
Yes, we are.
And the constituency, you've done a great job. I hear great reviews.
I'm most excited about, the fact that we've had, let me see, 1, 2, 3. We've had 3 town halls, community conversations, I prefer, where we, informed, we educated, we asked. Because I think the first one was all questions, because I need to know where you are. We are making those, taking all of that, and I mean, I think people get me everywhere, and so please don't think that no one can get to.
No.
On that bread aisle in the grocery store is real. But I'm just real pleased at the fact that we've been able to engage like that. We also have committed to the equity work as a city. That starts with us. That starts with the amount. The Elm Avenue project is going strong. $30 million in infrastructure.
There's a lot of, and that's been going.
It has.
Building to that for a long time.
It has.
But now we're starting to actually see.
You're going to see it. Yeah. And it's going to be uncomfortable. Let me just go, we at Tolliver, and between the 35 construction and you can't even get to the church the right way. But it's going to be uncomfortable. But on the other side of that.
Yeah, on the other side.
Oh, it's going to be so much better. And I mean, the sad thing about people who are in public service is we dig wells we will probably never drink from, and plant trees we will never sit under. Yeah. And that's the way it is.
And that's part of service.
And we want to make sure that and you all know, everyone knows that we're doing the work. It's not going to be overnight. It didn't get undone overnight, so it can't get redone overnight. But I'm so pleased with the pathway that we're going. I'm pleased with the fact that you've got new Wacoans coming in. You've got old Wacoans sharing history and knowledge, and we're just on a pathway to better. But we can't do it
without us. It's a community, and I think that's something that I really want to drive home, is that building community piece is so important, because we can't just throw you out there.
That's right.
And then Councilwoman is by herself, but we need all constituents to kind of get on board and get behind you.
And we got to bank on Elm.
Wait a minute. Now, see,
Sorry.
Yeah. For as long as I've been in Waco, really the only financial services that I ever saw was kind of like Chapman's.
You had Chapman's, and then like the ATMs were in the corner stores.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That was it.
So when I started running, I said, I started publicly shaming all the, don't let me be in the room with the bank owners because I'm going to tell you about yourself. So I started publicly shaming all the community banks in Waco because I'm like, y'all community banks, but we're not a part of the community. I got to come across the river
to deposit my money or to...
So, we have started that conversation, and I got with the folks at TF&B, and they were immediately, because initially I said there are not any bank-owned ATMs in East Waco. Because in District 1, maybe whatever's in the HEB on 19th Street, Educators Credit Union on TSTC, and that's it. That's bank-owned. That's it. So, they were like, oh, we can do ATMs, no problem. And that was immediate, And then they started having further conversations. I was like, okay, well, what does it look like if we build a branch? And, rubber hit the road, time kept going. TF&B will have a branch on Elm Avenue.
So when do you foresee that happening?
Probably 2021.
And that's big because one of the great things about having a branch is that you build relationships with somebody you see.
That's right.
I know her, I know him. So when it comes time to get that loan for business and those other things, I know her.
But think about it, and you're building people that'll enter into the financial institutions because we've had talks about setting up saving programs with Jay Hines and Rappaport. We've had talks about doing internships with the high school kids where they go in, kids that are of the neighborhood. They can be able to have internships within the bank. I mean, I know personally one of my dearest friends she was a Waco High student, worked with a bank as an intern, graduated from Baylor, worked for the bank, is now vice president of said bank. So I was like, that's the kind of pathway I want to see happen again.
East Waco.
That's right.
That's awesome because people hope they realize how big a news that is.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had anything since R.L. Smith was created the bank for the farmers and community folks in East Waco, and that closed in 1930.
1930. So that's been over 70 years since we've had that. That's great. Is there anything that you want to make sure your constituents know? You do a lot of outreach with your on the ones and those meetings. Is there anything else that you want to make sure that they know that's happening in their benefit, or whatever you want to let them know before we close it out? This is probably the best thing that I've ever done. Outside of, marrying an amazing man and being a mother of two great boys, this is the best thing I've ever done and the most fulfilling. When I ran the campaign, it was Truth, Vision, Voice, and so right now we are still telling truth. We are still, crafting vision, and we are still uplifting the voice of the community. And those are the things, that we will never stop doing. That'll preach right there. Truth, Vision, Voice. Okay, you go right ahead, evangelist.
So those are the things that I want to make sure folks know that we've not stopped that job, and that's our priority because this community is rich. It always has been, and it always will be, mainly because of the assets in each of the individuals that live and work in here. And we're growing, and we want to make sure we grow in a manner that benefits and continues to foster and fertilize the field and the foundation. Dormant ground is still good ground. And so now it's time for us to really start reaping that harvest because those seeds have been planted.
That's good.
And now, but it's work with that harvest. It's not just, oh, look, it's there. No, we got to work.
It's time to go to work.
It's time to go to work.
Thank you for tuning in this afternoon. I want to thank Councilwoman Barefield for coming and just sharing her insight. I wrote it down: truth, vision, voice. We'll have to use that again. I want to thank Bobby Touchstone and the Eatery for allowing us to be able to come in and do this interview. Find us on all social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, WacoIsLive.com. Stay tuned. We'll have further episodes and other content coming at you soon. Thank you for joining in.